What's up, everybody? Oh my goodness, I didn't think this stream was gonna happen today. Well, it's happening. Um, Happy to be here, and happy to have some of you who will join today. I'm gonna have to reschedule. It says that I stream Friday nights and Saturday 11. I actually have to move this stream to Sunday 11 a.m. That's what we're going to do moving forward, and I'll talk about some of the changes and schedule stuff like that. But I hope you're all doing wonderful. I'm glad that I'm able to get myself back on streaming. I just been doing like a lot of work stuff, a lot of studying stuff, and then just like family stuff. And it's just so easy to have things kind of get away from you. But I do need to be consistent on this channel. Yes, I know I'm not a YouTuber, but it's still important to continue to stay consistent, because consistency is what gets you to places that you want to go. And so that's probably a good thing to practice in no matter what you do, is consistency over time. And the title of this video, by the way, and again, I was like, I haven't streamed in a while, let me like stream. And so I was like, what would be like a good title to have? And I'm like, oh, coding in 3 months, can you get a job? Again, is it like clickbait? I don't know, I don't even care. But what's up, Sunny? What's up, Northern Chimp? Getting a mountain bike, that is awesome. That's cool. What's up, Alex? Great to see you. And I hope you're all doing amazingly awesome. Yep, so Sunny was saying, hey, no problem for being late. Northern Chimp, here we go, get a bike. Alex saying, what's up? Yeah, what's up, everybody? Anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to kind of get back into a swing of things, starting to stream. I hope you're all doing amazing things. I hope you've been really awesome. And today's stream, I want to talk about just the process of getting hired. And I wanted to make this video again just because I was like, there's so many people that are looking to switch careers, and for whatever reasons are being discouraged from it, or being worried that they're not going to be able to. And I heard some people who are like in their 20s, and they're like, is it too late? Is it too late? I started, learning to code around 35, 36, and then I got my first job at 39. And I'm 43 now, and I'm gonna make a totally different video talking about what that growth looks like. But let me tell you, it's still worth it. So just for those of you who are here early, and let me just give you the quick thing about learning to code in 3 months. In my opinion, it's too short of a time, and it's gonna be very hard. But plan on spending a year and a half, maybe even take you 2 years. Now, before people freak out and say like, what the hell, like a year and a half is too long, a year is too long. So if you just want to duck out after like hearing this, it's still worth it, because I switched careers at 39. So my real dev job, I worked a different job where I made WordPress themes, very light modification, a little bit of PHP, a little bit of CSS. So I'm not counting that, because that was for a marketing agency where I did managing WordPress sites, making minor edits, and doing marketing campaigns. So that job paid me 25 bucks an hour. But when I was 39, I got my first dev job, and it's working for this company called Versus Suite, which, oh my God, what a toxic environment. But it was a stepping stone for me. And so what I'm going to tell you is, if you're wondering if learning to code is worth it, it took me like from 36 to 39, almost 4.5 years to get hired. But in my opinion, it's still worth it. It might take you much sooner. Set realistic goals for yourself. 3 months is just unfair. It might take you a year and a half. It might take you 2 years. It might take you even longer, like it took me. But here's the thing. I got hired at 39. My first dev job was a React developer while learning C#. I was making $13.75 an hour. You heard it, $13.75. I had to work part-time during that time to supplement my income at a grocery store, where I was getting paid $13 an hour, basically same thing. And so the point that I'm trying to make here is that when you're starting out, like, you're gonna have to like build your experience up. Getting your first job is really hard. But I went from making $13.75 an hour. What is it yearly? Let me pull out a trusty calculator here, tell you what $13.75 a year is. And apparently my MacBook computer doesn't have a calculator. Let me go on my phone, pull out the calculator here, do some quick math for you. $13.75 times 40 times 4, no, because that's 4 weeks a month times 12. So I was making, my first dev job was making about $26,000, right? And then I worked there for a year and a half. And after a year and a half, I left. My second job, I was able to start making $80K a year, which was way better than $26,000 a year. And then my third job, so my second job was working for a financial company, Red Hawk Research, which was pretty cool. And my third job was at Strappy, where I started at 95K, and now I'm a little bit above six-figure income. So in a span of like my 4 years working, I went from $13.75 an hour to making six figures. And I'm not saying this to boast, and I might get fired tomorrow, who knows? But what I'm saying is that the whole idea of putting the work and not thinking, is it going to take you 3 months or 6 months? It's just going to take you as long as it takes you. It takes time, it takes commitment. And so I just wanted to share with those of you who are starting to learn to code, learning to make this transition into development. It's not an easy process, but it's still worth it because you're learning a very important skill, regardless of what people think about ChatGPT and all this other stuff. Let me say hello in the comments again here. I see a lot of people jumping in. Great to see all of you. My brother from another mother, Artur, is here. Good afternoon. How are you? I'm doing good. Is this a good time for you? And of course, he's showing love for WordPress. There's nothing wrong with WordPress and PHP. Obviously, I love Strappy number one, but you know, we could argue about it as much as we want. Ankita saying, hey, Paul, long time no see. I know it's been a long time. I'm going to get back to normal schedule. Saturdays, I kept trying to make him work, and it's been like an impossible day for me. So I'm going to start doing these live streams Sunday, 11 a.m. Hey, Jose, what's up? Good to see you. And Northern Chimps here. What kind of bike, by the way, you got? And then Inga says, yeah, it's better to take 1.5 or even 2 years to make it with consistently, very important, than get burned out after 3 to 6 months of crazy learning. Our brain need time to build new neurons of info, 100%. And you just also need that experience of failing through trial and error and building. So the best way I found that learning has worked for me is to make sure you have focused time where you're, whatever it is, 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, 4 hours, however much you can, and make sure that you're focused on what material you're learning. You can't learn everything and be good at everything. So for me, I really focus on just becoming a front-end React developer. And the second thing, fail often. What that means is that you need to actually build things, fail, because from that, and like have things break rather than just following tutorials, because you need to, that experience of practice of thinking through what went wrong and how to figure out. And of course, learn to be, I was going to say good at Googling, but now good at prompting, ChatGPTing things, and Googling and reading docs and doing all this stuff. Which is amazing. But great to see everybody. Devamesh, hello. What's up, Paul? Engine Boy, hello. My goodness, all these folks. Nice. Yeah, I'm so happy that I finally made it. Привет. He's saying that I love Artur always utilizing Russian when he can. And yep, he's saying hello to Engine Boy. Anyway, I'm glad to see everybody here. I didn't expect too many people show up, but I'm amazed that all of you showed up. The amazing folks. So yeah, if you have any questions, like let me know. But in terms of like learning to code, one of the things that I find disingenuous is when I see YouTube you know, videos where they're like how I became a developer in 3 months, or how I got my first job making 100K in 3 months. And sometimes you don't get the full story. I'm not saying that's not impossible, but I'm sure it's like people that know somebody, or maybe they've had some sort of experience in the past, but they're just decided for the sake of the video they're making, say it took him 3 months to learn to code. And to be honest, like if you're ever looking for legitimate answers, of course, I'm like trolling here a little bit. It's, you could always ask ChatGPT, can you become a developer, in 3 months? And they'll probably tell you, yes, you can. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But the whole idea is that don't worry about the time that it's going to take you, but worry about the work and the focus that you're doing. And very important is to be consistent over time. And if you have a goal, like let's say like I'm gonna commit to studying 3 months, and if I don't get a job in 3 months, I'm gonna quit. That's ridiculous. Or even if you don't say that and you're like, I'm gonna study for 3 months, and if I don't get interviews, then this is stupid. And the disappointment here is that no, it's going to take you longer than 3 months. Maybe it's going to take you a year. Maybe it's going to take you 2 years. Maybe it's going to take you 3.5 years like it took me. Number two, after you learn to code, you might not be getting interviews, because interviewing or getting interviews is a whole process. A lot of people just want to send resumes blindly. I will tell you that strategy will never work for you, or it will take a while, because a lot of times they'll be automatically kind of removed from the pile by auto readers that will look at like, hey, no previous experience. Maybe you didn't go to college like I didn't, and all this other stuff. So the best way to look for jobs is to build relationship with other developers and have friends who are developers that could refer you to the company. And all the jobs that I've gotten have been 100% referrals. And people will be like, you got lucky. And I guess maybe I did get lucky that I befriended friends in the industry, was worked on networking, and just had people that worked at companies that I wanted to apply to and they recommended to. But regardless if you like that, if you or not, it is the truth. You need to be able to market yourself and promote yourself through making connections, making friends. That's why I'm really big on meetups and stuff like that. And before we get too far, because I could blabber for hours, everybody knows it. And Jose's, hold on. Chatbot is full of BS and is struggling with your career. I know. When I say chatbot, I think, listen, I believe in the power of ChatGPT if used accordingly. I don't know what accordingly means, but there's things you could do. So I created this cool plugin where you could actually take ChatGPT, and then you could create these text embeddings, and you could you have this source of data that you could now ask questions around, which will be accurate because it's your data that you are storing in a vector database. So for like knowledge-based stuff, I think going that route is pretty good. But I think ChatGPT is great. People could agree with me. And struggles with jQuery. I think everybody struggles with jQuery, Arturo. Like, come on. And yeah, maybe Sunday is at this time is better for all of us. And I hope so, because this is definitely going to be the new time for the show. And Bilal, I hope I said your name right. Churn up 30 this August. Wow, that is amazing. So you're like way ahead of me. Even though this channel is called Coding After 30, I didn't start learning to code until like the age of 35. How long did it take you to get started? It took me 4.5, almost 5 years to get my first job. How long? What was your process or journey? It's Dev with it. Oh, what's up? What's up, Dev? How you doing today? Listen, it took me forever to get to break into the industry, because I started learning everything at once. I started learning C, C++. Like when I started to learn to code, Ruby was still popular, and now like nobody even like cares about Ruby. And so I tried to learn too many things at once, and it was until my friend told me, hey, listen, what you need to do is not know everything. You just need to do a very narrow skill that someone could pay you money for. And he said, JavaScript is obviously popular, regardless if you hate it or love it. I personally love JavaScript. Not a big fan of TypeScript, but I'm learning TypeScript still, because TypeScript is everywhere. You have to learn TypeScript. I don't care, whatever. Like for instance, like I don't mind like strong type languages like C#. Like I love C#. Like, but JavaScript is always weird. But TypeScript is good. Like all joking aside. But my journey was like very difficult, in a sense that it was too broad of like things I was learning. And it's until I decided to learn how to build applications with React at a point where people would actually hire me for that actually got the ball moving. And Strappy, believe it or not, was a big part of it, because as a front-end developer, I had no idea how to create my own back-end, and I really wanted to focus on the front end. So I started, and this is how I discovered Strappy, is I started building cool applications with my front-end React knowledge and Strappy as a back-end. And the way what made sense and allowed me to transition, like I'm still a front-end developer who is making that transition to full stack. And all my full stack experience. Like I've done Koa, I've done Express a little bit, like build little like mom and pop, like not mom and pop, like little like toy apps to kind of understand like how those work. But a lot of my backend experience comes from actually working with Strapi, because Strapi allows you to customize all of its backend. Believe it or not, you got your middleware, services, policies, controllers, routes. And so by like starting with Strapi, which you could get started out of the box, it'll just work. But then you could add additional custom code, and that's what kind of got me into spending more time in the backend and excited about backend, because I had this a thing that allowed me to do things in bits and pieces. And because I still work at Strapi, and under the hood Strapi uses Koa, so if I am like going to make a standalone like API, I will kind of go ahead and build it with Koa, because it kind of helps me better understand what the hell like I'm doing at work. But yeah, my journey was tough, and I always suffer with imposter syndrome. I still think I don't know anything. But the cool thing, like I was gonna kind of bring this point up, because what's awesome about development and coding is that if you have love for learning in general, and you kind of like pursue learning as its own like thing that you want to learn. Like, how do you learn quickly? How do you read things? How do you skim things? How do you make sense of things? How do you productively use ChatGPT to make sense of the things that you're doing, so you could iterate faster in your learning process? So learning is very important. But here's the cool part in this industry. It doesn't matter when you start, you're like technology changing so much. Once you learn like basic programming fundamentals, like you could be learning new things. And I'll give one example. So recently at my company, I built a Next.js 13 starter, and Next.js 13 is so freaking new that most people don't actually know, to which I was surprised. You know, like, oh, I'm kind of sounding like the go-to guy with Next 13. Of course, people are catching up, but the point is, it's like, you learn new things as they come along, and now you become that expert in that thing because it's just only been out for a little bit and you've been consistently learning. It's same with me and like learning Remix. So Remix was fairly new. I started learning Remix. I still prefer Remix over Next.js, but Next.js 13, like their app folder structure, like I love it. I like, compared to 13, I think I'm going to give you a hot take. Next.js 12 is trash. And under. I just don't like the way they did things the older way. So that's my personal bias. I could be completely nonsensical. But the way Next 13 works, I think it's pretty cool. And Remix, of course, is the best. And the reason why I had easy transition to Next 13 is because Remix was already doing like majority of the things that Next 13 is trying to do outside of server components. But that's so like the point is, if you're willing to learn, there's always new things coming up that you could be starting out literally at the same time as others. And if you put a little bit more focus, more effort, you're going to get good at this new technology, which is kind of awesome. And dude, I would be amazed if someone like learns to code for a month and gets a job. Like, they'll be insane. So here's the thing about coding. Hold on a second. Let me go through the comments first here. Blah, 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 blah. Artur says, finding a job and learning on it is also, which is a quickest approach, yet it may not be ideal. So here's like, this is a very good point. So I told you about my first job. I was making $13.75 an hour, which is like ridiculous. It's $26,000 a year. So why did I take it? Number one, like because you know, pandemic was starting to happen. It wasn't like quite happening yet, but there were talks. I mean, I didn't know it was gonna happen. But also it was like my first job, and I knew how difficult it is to get your first job. I just took what I got offered. I was like, you know what? Because the value, the pricelessness, I don't know if that's the word, priceless, of me working at that first job for $26,000 a year, $13.75 an hour, is I literally looked at what Artur here says, find a job and learning on it. It literally became a boot camp for me that I was getting paid to attend. That was like my view on my first crappy job, is that, and I loved it, by the way, but because it literally was like, if you ever watched that show The Office, we literally had that type of scenario. We have so many, I have so many stories about that place. It's ridiculous. It was like, if you love people watch, that company was the best work. But to Artur's point here is that you should always be trying to get a job, even if you feel you're not ready, because if you get hired, you will learn more on your job than you will learn on your own. So what I learned prior to getting hired, I think I learned even more the first 6 months working at that job, which is pretty amazing. Then Arthur talking about Chat GPT has no ads, which is better than Google 100%. Come on, Arthur. I use jQuery and I'm proud of it. Oh, good for you. And this is this is how I know like I rose up as a human being, is that I could be your friend knowing that you use jQuery and PHP. Of course, I'm joking. PHP is still good. jQuery, if your project still uses it, God bless you, but don't start with it. Come on. Yeah, and sometimes you kind of have to make choices like this. I turned up 30 and I have quit my high-paying job because I wasn't growing. I got a WordPress dev job last month, which is almost 1/3 of my past job, but I have faith I will do it like you. So depending on how old are you, depending like what are your family responsibilities, and that was one of the reasons I was able to take my first job that paid only $13.75, because at that point I was already divorced. My daughter is old enough. She was already out of college, and so I didn't have too much responsibility. But if you're much older and you have responsibility, this is something you have to definitely talk to your family and your spouse, because sometimes you might have a job that might be paying a little bit more or a lot more than what the development job you're looking to pay. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes if you have a family, you have responsibilities, that's a heavy choice to make, and you gotta do it as your family. And he says, and you're one of my inspiration. Oh my goodness. So listen, I am like some dude on the internet who just talks about his story of getting hired, but I think like the real superpower comes from within you. It's the work you're looking to put in. It's the hustle and the commitment you're going to put into coding, and make sure that you're doing something every day to move ahead. And like the trick and the secret, like people tell me, what's the secret to getting hired? The secret is you. You are the secret. Like, are you going to do the work? Are you going to build the networking? Are you going to do and go beyond the call of duty to do the things that you need to do? That is the secret. Like for me, like I said, I know I'm all over the place. I discovered that I have ADHD. It would have helped if I knew this when I was a child. But here's the thing, like when I got my first job, I had imposter syndrome. I still have imposter syndrome. I feel like I don't know anything. And because of that, I literally make jokes like, man, am I going to get fired this month? And thank God I didn't. Thank you, Lord, that I did not, blah, 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 my goodness. But the point is, because of my high imposter syndrome, one thing that it allows me to be, it doesn't allow me to be cocky about my abilities as a developer. And I never feel like I'm better than somebody else. Maybe I'm equal to somebody, but I don't feel that I'm better. I feel like I have room to improve. And because of my imposter syndrome, one benefit that I got from it is that studying and learning new things and exploring new things is always on top of my mind, and I'm always trying to figure out what is the next thing I need to improve on to grow as a developer. And Mikhail says, in my interview for my current job, we spent most of the conversation talking about statistic calculator I built and deployed the app to the store. I used React Native, and the job was Ruby on React. That is pretty awesome. And I think the cool thing is by building projects. And so one thing I was going to say, if you're doing tutorials, this is amazing, but you only need like 3 to 4 tutorials. I wasted big part, like maybe a couple of years of just being stuck in tutorial hell. You really just need 3 to 4 good lessons. And then the rest of the stuff you learn through failure. You learn by failing, by breaking things. So you start building things from scratch. Something doesn't work, you don't go to a tutorial, you go to the documentation, you look for Google, you look on Stack Overview, whoever uses this website anymore, but ChatGPT it, Google it, whatever, and you just try things out. One of the reasons I love ChatGPT, because sometimes it does give you wrong answers. And at school, when you take that example and you put it in your code, it blows up. And then you have this amazing journey of going through what the hell broke. Oh, he made up an NPM package doesn't exist, or this code is completely nonsensical. but you literally testing things out. And one advice I would give you, everybody copies and pastes code, but when you copy and paste code, go line by line and try to understand what it does. And if you don't, Google it, ChatGPT it, have ChatGPT explain to you what it does. But that is a big part of growing. And going back to Mikhail's point here is that he had a project that he was able to showcase and talk about. If you build a project from scratch, not a tutorial, and I'll give you an easy example, you will be the expert talking about that project. And when you talk to someone about it, people will be like, hey, he knows what he's doing. So one thing that I recommend to people is, even if you have never recorded a video and you're not going to make it public, build a project and record a video of yourself talking about the project, and come up with some questions that someone potentially could ask you, and see how comfortable you feel, and practice literally giving presentations on your project. Even if no one's going to see it except you, see the things that you could improve, because part of interviewing is not only having the ability, and again, it depends on like if a junior level, like whatever, but as a junior level, your ability to talk about your code is important. And if people ask you questions and you might not know the answer, you could be like, hey, I'm not sure like what you mean by this. Can you give me more like blah, blah, like give me more information, what you're looking for exactly. And then if something like kind of clicks, you'd be like, oh, in my project, I didn't do exactly this thing, but here's something similar. And you could have these talking points that could kind of help you out. Let's see here. When you're learning new programming language in class, what is your approach? Like, how do you learn theory or something real? So for me, like, I'm a JavaScript lover, and for me everything is in context of JavaScript. But I recently started and like long time ago I did a little bit C#. I don't do too much C# right now because there's no cool projects outside of things building in Unity for VR, and I don't have time for that right now. But I recently started learning Python, and the way I learn new languages is, now that I have programming experience, it's a little bit different because I don't need to take a course about it. I could just start playing with it. And then when something breaks or something is unexpected, I'll look it up and be like, oh, apparently this is not how you do things in Python. And I will start by building a bunch of small projects that are CRUD, and they get data from some sort of API just to kind of get the basics. But I feel like once you know your first programming language, it's kind of way easier to learn your second or third, which I didn't know at first. And my biggest mistake was trying to learn too many languages at once. I will guarantee you, if you learn any language, I would probably say like C# based language, JavaScript, Java, C#, whatever. Like, if you learn one language and you understand it fairly well, picking up Python, picking up Flutter, it becomes much easier. So I'll give you an example. I do a lot of article reviews for write for the community at Strappy, and some of the articles are about languages I have no idea. Like the other day, I was looking at Dart, and I was like, what the hell is Dart? Like, I don't care for it, but I was able to follow along in the code enough to be like, oh, I kind of get what they're trying to do. And I was able to also understand enough about the code where it's like, oh, I have no idea what the hell this thing is, but I could Google it or ChatGPT it or go into like Dart docs and kind of read more about it. So like learning a second language after you know your first one is, in my opinion, much easier. But I don't have like a very I have like a very organic approach, which is like, I want to build this thing similar to what I built in JavaScript. Like, how would I build it in Python type of approach? And I don't know if it's like correct or not, but that's what I do. And when you're learning, okay, that's, I already said it twice. I was electronic engineer, but was just doing repair maintenance, as we don't produce any of the electronics in our country. That is wild, but I will guarantee you that you have a lot of experience in your field. And learning to code, you could definitely combine those things. And because like you already got a electronic engineering degree, you know how to study, so you have very good habits, and you're definitely going to kill it. You're definitely going to get it. That is awesome. Nice. Yes, and Kita, also awesome to have you here. I loved our interview that we did. It was so amazing. So if I wanted to start with Next.js, we should directly start with Next 13. Don't go backwards. I think even Next.js is kind of pushing all of these new things, and they're saying they're stable, and majority of the things are stable. for a majority of cases. But yeah, I would definitely recommend start with next 13 100%. Do not go backwards. I think it just makes no sense at this point, unless if again, it depends. Like, so I would always say start with with next 13. But if you're working on a project which is using version 12, I would say like refactor it to and just make it Next.js 13. But if you can't, like obviously you need to learn 12. But there's a lot of similarities that like learn 13 and go backwards. So don't learn 12 and then go forward. So that makes sense. Again, another opinion that might not be based in any realistic expectations, except the fact that, in my opinion, Next 13 is way better than 12, which a lot of people that love 12 will say I'm completely crazy. Yes, I think that's every career where you're sitting down on a chair. Your eyes. I actually ordered glasses. I needed glasses for the longest time. I lost them, and like 5 years ago, I just never replaced them. But I ordered glasses. They're coming in, and your belly growing is true. Any career choice where you're sitting and stuff, your belly will grow. So I went back to doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and doing some swimming to kind of help myself to avoid the pitfalls of having those type of professions. Pros and cons. Focus. What about a job security? I work at a startup now, doing well, but feel like I could be replaced easily. And that's the case for, I feel the same way, to be honest. And so how do I think about this? My number one, I'll tell you the things that I'm doing. So you might be working at startup and there might be different teams. You might be on a particular team. Number one is ask yourself, the job that I'm doing, if I were to be replaced or laid off, is there a possibility for me to move sideways into a company, into a different team? So that's number one. It's befriend everybody at your company and see that, do people like you enough that if there's time for layoffs or if something happening, you could move sideways. If you get laid off and you can't do that, that happens, which is, unfortunate, but it's just the reality of things. Number two is while working at your current job, what is your next step? Where do you see yourself moving forward? And start on your own kind of learning those things that add more value and figure out how you could apply those new things you're learning at your current job to kind of help you be, hey, he or she, that's our person. They're always learning. They're always moving forward. They're never passively sitting here. They're always trying to be proactive. So if you're proactive and you work on a team and people like you, your job security is going to be a little bit higher than somebody who, let's say, not a team player and not proactively trying to do things. And then if you do get laid off, right, the couple of things that I say, number one, everybody should have at least 3 months of savings. So if you do, I know sometimes you get laid off, people give you compensation, packages or whatever, but let's just assume you get none of that. You should have 3 months of living expenses save up, or at least have a credit card with a big enough amount that for 3 months, if you can't find your job right away, you could pay your rent, you could buy your food, you could do whatever. But outside of that, what I would say the biggest thing is, while you're working, everybody you interact with, make genuine friends, so you have and grow your network in the industry, where you could talk to someone and be like, hey, I got laid off. Is your company hiring? Or can you give me a referral? So I have a bunch of friends here in Austin that have a company that when I met him, I did a Remix Conf. They were like, hey, this is what we do. And I say, hey, I do React too. If, and they're like, oh, cool. If you want, you could apply blah, blah, blah to our company. And so you make these relationships. So well, I work at Strappy, best company ever. So I don't think I'm going to be leaving anytime soon. But the point is that the more connections you have, the more, opportunities you're going to have. And yeah, but people being replaced, that's just part of the thing. And I think about job security like this. I'm happy that I have it, but I'm not going to be surprised if I don't. And that forces me to have an outlook on always continue growing, always continue learning. So, yeah, that's kind of what I would say. Hey, Mateus. Hey, mate. Good to see you again. Saturdays just became an impossible day for me because Saturday mornings I go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you got to get your priorities straight. And I just can't wake up early enough to do the stream before my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. And so I was like, oh God, I tried for 4 weeks. It didn't work out. So Sunday is the new time, 11 a.m. I don't have anything happening on Sunday. So this was perfect. But yeah, humility is always good. I think humility, in my opinion, keeps you from thinking you're all that, which prevents you from becoming complacent and lazy. And that, maybe it doesn't, but like what I'm saying is that in my case, if I thought I was the best and all that, even in my jiu-jitsu, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm pretty good. But when I'm in class, I never go oh, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm the best. Let me tell you what you need to do. I'm right. You're no. I just go in and train, and even though I'm a high level in my jiu-jitsu class, I'm always being but today someone could kick my butt. So let me just focus on not being boisterous about how awesome I am, so people could worship me in class. I'm oh no, I take the level of humility, because humility allows you to keep growing and learning. As soon as you start to feel like you're the best, you're on top, that means there's more people underneath you that are looking to replace you. That's how I look at it. So the goal is to always be learning, always be striving, and humility never hurts. Here's I'm just kind of looking at the conversation Arthur and Mateus has. Mateus sent around 140 application, and this is the reality and the truth. I had a friend, she sent over 300 application, not quite 400, but a lot. And what she said, out of 300 applications, she got 5 interviews and then 2 offers, and one of them was a hire. Just to put that math in perspective. So if you're sending resumes, you literally do have to send a massive amount. And this is why I say networking and referrals is I know it's hard. Everybody is I don't want to talk to someone. I don't want to make friends. But building relationships is very important, because referrals will help out a lot. But what I would say is continue sending applications, continue talking to your friends who work in the industry, asking for referrals, and then don't be shy to hit up recruiters, even though 80% of them are gonna ghost you. Any date I try to get on the social apps that they have for dating, but still there's a chance, and you gotta use all the chances you can. You can't just focus on one. Day in life video, I actually never will do day in life video unless it's a massive troll. I hate those, I almost swore, freaking videos. If I see a day in life video, I get so upset because it's bullshit. No video I wake up at 5 a.m. to my mocha latte Faco chino, then I do some exercise because I'm good looking and have a 6-pack. And you need to see me shirtless while I'll put my pants on before going to work. But on my way to work, I take my wheel, whatever that thing called where you stand on, has got a 1-wheel battery powered. I drive there, and then when something catches my eye, I take a picture with my iPhone, because then I could remind myself at work what a beautiful, wonderful day this was. And when at work, when I come in, I see all these beautiful snacks that we have, and then during my mid-break, I go and have a siesta on the rooftop. Get the hell out of here. If there were realistic videos about day in life, it's day in life of a developer. Well, I've been freaking stuck on this goddamn bug forever, and I thought I figured it out, but I didn't, and then it broke, and now I have to go talk to Bob over here, and Bob is having a fire of his own that he's trying, and then good lord, all these nobody's gonna wanna watch a day in life of all those other ones are fake. Anyway, I'm done with that day in life. But good solution, good suggestion. I'll do day in life of not maybe I should do the real day in life, but it'll be boring. But what I was thinking of doing, instead of day in life, I was gonna do day in life of in my apartment, how's my work set up, what I do, how my cats are. I don't know, we'll see. Yep. Yeah, and that's another crazy thing, Mateus. That's sorry to hear that. In the region where I currently live, there are not many junior positions, And that is very difficult. What I would like to recommend is just keep doing what you're doing and see if you could look for remote jobs. I know it's not going to be easy. I know it's hard. But like definitely the one thing you can't do, and which I know you won't do, is kind of give up hope. You know, it's important because it's going to keep you motivated and moving forward. But also, I would say join a bunch of Discord servers of the technologies that you like and start talking with people. And then you could find like friends to co-work on projects together. And like that might lead to opportunities. But yeah, it's very difficult. I hope that things work out for you. Yeah, and then thank you, Arthur. And don't have to be junior. Apply for anything everywhere you can work remotely. Yeah, and so here's like the caveat to that. Just because there are no junior opportunities, you should still apply to everything. Worst case, right? Worst case. What is the worst case? They will say no, and you're not going to get an interview. But best case, you'll get an interview, and somehow like you pass it, and now you got a job, which I think is definitely play that lotto by just applying to everything. Yeah, see, Artur, I'm amazed and glad to have you here in our stream, and everybody here, because you're all giving some amazing advice. Literally, I could not be here and you could all just chat with each other and it'll still be like an amazing conversation. Even though like you prefer to work in the office to start, and I think they both have their pros and cons, still apply for remote, just because you could get a job, work there for like a year, and by working and getting experience up front, it'll make it much easier to get a job at all. And then like after working at one job, you'll be able to move to another job much quicker. And yeah, it's exactly, it's like it's better to have something but not quite what you like than having nothing. But apparently I just kind of went back like on my own comment, because that's not true, because I'd rather have nothing than not find the person that I want to date, which I can't find because my ex was amazing. Oh God, I'm gonna cry. My ex-fiance. I'm just kidding. I'm good. I'm looking at my own growth as a single 40-year-old. That let's talk about later. We don't need to have a whole therapy session here. Pablo, what's up? Great to have you here. It's been a while. CompTIA. I don't think you need those certificates, especially for like coding stuff. Even for networking and IT stuff, I think CompTIA is starting to lose its thing. I think there's like much better certifications. I've heard very mixed opinions. I'll tell you my experience with CompTIA. Before switching to development, I was into networking, so I started doing like their security plus certification, and I quit halfway through just because I decided it's not for me. I don't know enough to give a valid response if they're still good or not. But from all the people that I know that work in networking or DevOps, like whatever, they say there's that they don't hold as much weight as they used to. You might be better off, like if this is the route you're interested in, is to do vendor specific certifications, like Cisco, Amazon, like what have you. But I don't know enough. But like for web development, 100% you don't need them. For programming, they're not gonna really make or like help anything. How hard is it to oh my God, yes, you literally are rewriting majority of, I mean, like if you have a components folder which already has components in it, those probably not gonna take much of the refactored. But if you have the pages folder and you have the code in the pages and you're refactoring to the app folder, it's going to take some time because the paradigm is completely different, but I still say it's worth it. So the way I migrated my app from 12 to 13, instead of taking my, God damn it, Next.js, my brain froze, Next.js 12 project and working within, I just started a whole new 13 project, and then I would move the code pieces to my 13 project following the new paradigm using the app folder. Now you have server components and how you could fetch data asynchronously directly in them, pretty awesome. So I would say like have your old project and your new project, start in 12, 13, and then just move things. That would be much easier process than working within your 12, 13 project. But that would be my recommendation. I don't think I would ever attempt to not do it that way. And I'm sorry that you have a 12 project that you have to migrate. I'm just sorry. Yeah, everybody needs to exercise more, 100%. And Jose says, I moved sideways in my current company, but now I feel like I can be easily replaced too. I think it's like I said, like be thankful that, so the way I think about it, so I don't become complacent at my job, because I always want to strive to do the best that I can and be the best that I can be, is don't take for granted what you have and be appreciative. Hey, I have my job. And I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying how I think about it, and be like, I am so thankful and lucky that I work here. I'm going to do my best to grow and try to be proactive to a point where I touch so many different things that to replace me is going to be hard. But at the same time, I'm not going to be surprised if I get fired. And so with that being said, is that I should always be thinking, what if I get fired? Do I have the things in place that I can do to start looking for another job? But as a goal, job security in the traditional sense doesn't exist. And I feel like as a developer, you have the superpower that you could build things. And again, this is not for everybody, but there's this YouTuber, Web Dev Junkie, Cody. I love him. He's the best. What he did is he has his job, but he also has his YouTube channel, which is amazing. But I don't really I love his YouTube channel, but what blows me away about him is that he made like a SaaS product that is profitable and making some money. He's making a lot of money. I don't know, but it's better than me because I don't have a SaaS product that makes any money. And so I think that is amazing that you have the superpower to get a job, but you also have a superpower to create a SaaS product part-time and make money. And the cool thing about Web Dev Code, he has a SaaS product that he already basically proved the point. He's like, I could, number one, make one. Number two, it could generate some income. And now for him, it's just moving forward. Whatever his next idea is going to be, is probably going to be more profitable. And that's the superpower of development, is that you have this ability to work at a job or create a new SaaS product that could make money. And maybe it's not going to make $1 million, but maybe it'll make enough for you to be able to get a steak dinner every day of the week or once a week or whatever it is. So I think it's being open-minded. So the way I look at things, number one is my number one priority is to be the best that I can be at my job, that if people are thinking of layoffs, my name is definitely not the first on the list. That's number one. Number two, I'm always learning outside of work and always making friends that I could reach out to if I need to get a job. And number three, I'm always thinking about what is a SaaS product I could build, but it happens to be the last thing on my list, so I don't get to it as much, but that'll be good. Sunday is good for the streams. Glad to hear that. So if you were a hiring manager, how would you conduct an interview? What questions would you ask? Test you would give, etc., for your developer level role? So I'm not a hiring manager, so to be honest, I could only guesstimate, but from the people that I work with, we used to do at the company kind of different process where we have a bunch of interviews. Some is are you a team player, or do you culturally fit our company? And then we would have a technical take home that you had to complete, and then we would have a follow-up interview where you talk about all the things you did it work. So that's kind of the type of interviews I prefer, where people gives you a technical project that you build, because that way you could build it, you're much more likely to be able to talk about it. And then we switched to a different type of interview. And again, none of the things that we do in our company is whiteboarding interviews. So instead of doing the project take home, now what we do is, and this is another interview that I would prefer as well, is where you have general conversation about tech, using things you build, and general questions around the job that you're applying. And maybe if you gotcha questions you have this issue, how do you solve it, blah, blah. And then what I heard from the people that are doing the interviews, they're not so much looking to see if you answer everything correct. But what they're looking for, do you have the basic understanding of the field in general, what you're like applying for? And number two, are you stubborn, meaning if you don't know something, you're going to make some BS and you're not going to ask for questions or like for help? It's like automatic decline. Because our team, what they search for, do you have like your basic knowledge? Are you able to think through solving problems? Like if you have a bug, they'll ask you, like, you have this bug, like what steps would you take to try to figure out what the bug is? They want to see how you think. And number two, they'll ask you questions sometimes where you won't get the answer unless you ask the interviewer for some help. And so those are the things that I guess I would do as well. And so the point being is that you should not be afraid to ask for help and to clarification, because working on a team, communication is one of those aspects, and sometimes you won't know everything, and you do need to talk to others to work as a team to figure things out. I hope that answer made sense. Doing open source work, the difference in job opportunities are unreal, at least in India. I think doing like open source work is really good, but I think from like also like different companies approach open source differently. And sometimes you might find a good project with open source. You might make a PR and then your PR will sit there for like ever, and people not gonna like answer you. Number one, because there might be a lot of people that doing the same thing you're trying to do. And number two, like at the end of the day, even though it's an open source company, unless it's like a project you're working with like close friends, at the end of the day, the company has the final say, like the direction that they're taking their project. Even though they are listening to the community, it's a very interesting thing. But I think in general, if you want to find friends, build opportunity, team up on people and work on open source projects as well. But just know that they are different, and sometimes your contributions, will be, merged, and sometimes they won't, and you just have to be okay with that. So, Guidus, hope I said it right. When you're ready for React, learning JavaScript, but you can't decide when to switch to React. So here's the thing, like with JavaScript, my recommendation now, you literally only need one good JavaScript course that teaches you the basics. Like if you know JavaScript and you understand how the DOM works, you understand like all the basic functionality, like objects, like all the data types in JavaScript, like the general flow using like if statements, for loops, you are familiar with all the basic array methods, string methods, some of the object methods, how to loop through an object, how to copy an object. And then on top of that, you understand, dude, I'm saying so much stuff right now. It sounds ludicrous. Asynchronous JavaScript. And then you also able to make requests to an API to get the data, like to add the data. Then that's it. And I know that just sounded like a lot, but if you look at any Udemy course on JavaScript that you will find on Udemy, John Smilga has an awesome one. They basically cover all those things. So all you need to do is take one JavaScript course, build all the projects that the course has to do, and then put all that aside, and then from memory, build your own JavaScript project based on what you learned. And if you get stuck, don't go using the tutorial for reference. You already took the tutorial. Forget about the tutorial. Use like documentation, Googling, ChatGPT, whatever you need to, but use an external source to help you get through finishing your project, and build one project. Once you have one project built, then you could go ahead and move to React. And here, let me do this. It's been a while, so give me a moment. I don't even remember Miro board. Let me log in. I'll show you I made this like a while ago, so just take it for what it is, but I think it's still very valid. I'm gonna show you the approach that I take, and I'll share the link for this here as well. I'll put it in the chat here, but let me switch to a different screen here if I still remember how to use. All right, so here we go. So basically what I did is I created this like roadmap with some example courses that I like. And basically number one, first I decided what technologies do I need to do in order to learn what I need to learn. And so I decided I want to be a React front-end developer. This is what I need to learn: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, how to consume API, basics of database. Of course, unfortunately, you have to learn TypeScript. how to work with GitHub, Next.js, and AI tooling like ChatGPT. But notice how the courses that I recommend, it's not 10 different courses to learn HTML. It's only one course for HTML, CSS. Do all the projects in the course and then build your own project based on you learn. And that's exactly what I'm recommending. One JavaScript course, do everything in the JavaScript tutorial course, build all the projects, put it off to the side, then build your own project, and now you're ready for React. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I do like too many course recommendations, but you literally need HTML, JavaScript, GitHub, React, something about consuming APIs, database, TypeScript, and Next.js. Okay, actually, these are all the courses I would highly recommend that you need to know in order to feel like you are able to get hired. But notice how it's always one course. It's not 3, 4 courses. Otherwise, you'd be stuck in the tutorial course. Like if you look at all the JavaScript courses on Udemy, they're all basically the same, just different structure. Just pick the one that you like, and you're gonna be good to go. I hope. I don't know if that was a. Yes, unfortunately, I have to learn TypeScript. If I wanted to use a strong type language, I would use maybe like something else, like C#. No, I'm just kidding. No, TypeScript is important. I 100% like I say unfortunately because I don't want to learn TypeScript. But you cannot be a developer if you don't know TypeScript at this point on, because once you have a properly built TypeScript project, it helps the whole team work together. Now, building that project initially with TypeScript is a pain in the butt because you will be doing a lot more coding and writing, which will save you time eventually. But at the beginning, it's a pain in the ass. Like, I don't care who you, like, what your opinion is. It is very important. And one thing I'll tell you is this. So I started playing around and building things with TypeScript. Once you go TypeScript, going back to JavaScript is annoying because you're like, oh, I thought this is going to tell me the thing that I'm missing, and it doesn't. Or, oh, I thought this was going to spot this issue I was having, but it doesn't. So I'll tell you like what I do. If I'm working on a team and they're building a company project, TypeScript 100%. If I am working on a personal project and I want to build a POC as fast as possible and get some test users, I'll just do it in JavaScript really quickly. And the cool thing about TypeScript is that you could add it incrementally into your project. So then you could add it into that JavaScript project. So what I typically do, I'll start a TypeScript well, now, like I was about to say, like, because I'm trying to force myself to do more TypeScript. Now what I do is I always start with TypeScript, and and I will just add it incrementally based on the things that I know. And if I don't know enough, I'll just leave the file like a regular JavaScript file. But at least this is forcing me to continue to move and learn TypeScript. Anyone got into system programming after 30? For me, I can't answer that because I'm a web developer, but that's actually a really good question, especially being a self-taught programmer. The thing that I hear, I think like becoming a self-taught developer with no college degree, let's say, I think everybody's a self-taught developer, even in college. Like, I think no matter where you live, if you're able to get a computer science degree or to get a college degree, you should definitely do it. It will never hurt and it will only help. And I know in certain countries like India, like you don't even have that option. Like if, like you need to have a degree and then like a master. So like whatever, it's just like very difficult. But what I would say, my view on self-taught development, it's not impossible, but it's very, very, very difficult. And if you have an opportunity to go back to school, or the country you live in, school like is supplemented, or it's just a hard requirement, like definitely go for it. And so even in my case, I'm looking to go back to take some college courses and slowly work towards my CS degree like over time because I don't have a CS degree. And yeah, I was thinking like open source, like just committing to open source. So that's a good point. Like everybody should be making their open source projects together, and you should be pairing up with people and working on stuff together. And even if you make a stupid plugin that you're so happy you built because you're so proud of yourself. Like I built this ChatGPT vector database powered embedding plugin that allows you to add your knowledge base to your chatbot, and then you could have a conversation with your chatbot. Like, that plugin probably sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. But the cool thing about it is that it's open source, and you could share it on GitHub. You could share it on, and you could make an NPM package. Let's say for this particular thing here, I'll share it with anybody interested. And it's like a great way to publicly show what you're building, right? If you could publish something to NPM, when you could put that in your resume, or if you teamed up with a bunch of friends to build a cool project, that's another cool thing. I worked with like a team of programmers to build this project. It's open source. You could see it here. It's being deployed here. Like, I think it's very important. It's so funny that you say that, because there's so many people I talk to that they say like it's very difficult to get a job if you're not like if you don't have a degree. And I don't remember like exactly the details, but I think like you have a thing where a company, or I don't know enough. Like, well, I don't want to make stuff up, but I heard that it is difficult, and I heard that there's like a path that majority of people have take that does involve you having a college degree and moving forward. And I would be actually really like, actually, Dev, do you have a college degree? And if not, like, I would definitely love to chat more about like your process of like what you've been doing and stuff. I think it'd be cool. Basil, I'm a internet taught developer. I don't have an engineering degree. I was formerly a lawyer. I was able to switch my career to IT in 2021. That is awesome. There's this girl, Katya, who used to be part of the community. You don't see her a lot anymore because she actually now works. She went to law school, and she was on the process of looking to be an attorney. She ended up being a legal aid because she just didn't vibe morally with the job of being a lawyer. And so she just decided like that, you know what, she needs to do something different. So she switched to front-end development, and she's been working at a company for 3 years now. So it's definitely a good transition. And if you're already in IT, and if you want to continue with IT, definitely do that. But you could also, from IT, it's not unheard of to switch to software engineering. I've seen people do either go to software engineering, and then I saw people start with software engineering, deciding that they like more hands-on stuff, so they went with IT. I see you put 3 other courses between. Yeah, I keep updating, like, because I have ADHD, and so does my mirror board. So I put 3 other courses between Next.js, React, and Next. Yes. So here's the thinking here. So once you know React, you basically know Next.js. You basically know Next.js. Like, I'm just going to tell you that. So what's more important to me, Next.js is a full stack framework, which is great, and it makes certain things a lot easier. So instead of like relying on Next.js, build a couple of React projects where you're consuming like an API. You could use Strapi, you could use like Firebase. I don't recommend it, but whatever. But build something with React that interacts consuming data and allows you to kind of have a local setup of Postgres where you could see how your changes affect the database. I think you don't need to be expert on consuming APIs or database, but you need to be like knowledgeable what it is. Consuming API, you should be really good at. Database, you should know the basics of, like, there's the database that exists. Whenever you do CRUD, you make in post, put, whatever else, calls, and how's this affecting the database, like deleting, updating, adding data. You should kind of conceptually be aware of that. And then obviously before learning Next.js, whenever you start a Next.js project, it's always in TypeScript now. At least that's the path they're going. So you could combine TypeScript and Next.js together. I realize I'm not sharing my screen like a moron. So let's go back and try this again. So this is what I was saying. So once you know React, you know Next.js, basically. And so what I feel is more important before making the jump to Next.js, because you could build a lot of apps with just React. Definitely build something where you're consuming API, where you're covering all the CRUD application. And when you're building the application, you could use Firebase. You can also use Strapi, but use something that allows you to set up a local instance of Postgres, so you could see how, SQL databases function, because majority companies, they use Postgres Believe it or not, they don't use MERN stacks. It's very rare to see MongoDB in the wild. I'm not saying it's not possible, but majority use SQL. So become familiar, like when you're doing your front end, CRUD through your API, like you should be able to see the data tables in your database locally and kind of see how it's affecting it and know the basics of like, hey, there's a database underneath everything that stores the data. And then the reason why I say learn TypeScript before Next.js, because if you're going to start with Next.js, Next.js will use TypeScript. And the truth is, like, if you just know React, you could get jobs. Like Next.js is like a plus, but you could learn it on the job. Once you know React, it's very easy to learn. So that's like the reason why I added those 3 other courses in between. Yeah, Pablo, like, I'm not going to disagree with you, but because I love JavaScript and everybody loves TypeScript except me, I have to learn TypeScript. But for web development, like I love React, I love JavaScript, so that's why I stay in the Node.js ecosystem. But if you were into the C# route, like building things with Blazor, and C# is also a good choice. So there's jobs for both, you know what I mean? But C# is a great language. You're not a fool, Northern Chimp. I'm a fool for adding those 3 courses because in my mind, I wanted to remind myself, you should know how to. And look, when I say consume API and Postgres, it could be very, very basic that you could do in your very first React course. And TypeScript, you could literally learn it with Next, JS together. So you could literally combine React, Consume API, and Database as one big course, and then TypeScript, Next.js. So you're not a fool. You're doing it. But I'll tell you this. Now that you already made that choice, go with it. Don't go backwards. You're already committed to it. It's not going to hurt you. Just start in your Next.js project. Figure out, you could use what's a good library to God damn it, I forgot what it's called. Library to make databases easy. Come on, somebody in the chat, tell me how to communicate with database easily with the best thing ever. Good Lord, I forgot what it's called, but it's the best thing ever. I could also look up what I'm using. Koa. Is it this project? I'll tell you, you could use Next.js with... Okay, I'm not using it in this project. I forgot which one I clicked. Did I click the first one or the second one? I'm not using in this. What the hell? Don't tell me I clicked the same thing. Oh, what is the thing? Oh God. Okay, so I'm using Connext here. Don't use Connext. I mean, if you learn to use Connext directly to talk to your database, that's amazing. But there's another library that's a little bit higher level that you should kind of experiment with your Next.js project. 100%. That's true. Wow. I didn't know that. That is amazing. I'll have to talk to you, Dev. I know I don't have the degree. Dude, you're like, don't take this the wrong way, but there's not that many Indian people I know that don't have at least 1 degree. I don't have a degree either, so it's fine. It seems that way. Yeah. I think like Next.js just adds a lot of additional stuff that improves your quality of life of doing things like SSR, static site generation, and all this other stuff. But if you know React, learning Next is so easy. No, not so easy, because it wasn't easy for me. It's way easier. Nice, nice, nice. Yep. I'm assuming you like referring to me not being able to like live stream for like the past month and a half because Saturdays I just couldn't wake up in time, because the stream was too early for me, and then I had Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practice. But it's going to be every Sunday 11 a.m. if that's what you're referring to, and the next stream is going to be next Sunday 11 a.m. I think like data analytics is its like own thing and requires its own skills. I don't know enough about that. Let's see. Yes, 100%. Everybody should be a prompt engineer, like fire ship says prompting. I refuse to do what every cool kid says, so I'm going to say prompt engineering. 100%. Learn to use ChatGPT to make your stuff easier. And I know I completely forgot the package that I was going to say, but if it comes up to me, I'll yell it out. But my brain right now can't think. Let's see. That's 100%. I think contacts, yes. This is why I always strive, build a network, build relationships. I don't want to lie to you, and that's why I don't. But when people ask me like, Paul, how did you get your job? Did you get it by sending resumes? Every job I got was from referral. And I probably sent 10 resumes at most in my whole life. And I'm not saying this to be like, look how cool I am. I'm just giving you the power of referral and making friends. And I know it's unfair, but that is the unfortunate truth. So continue to send out resumes, but definitely network, and build connections, even if it's with recruiters. Because I don't want to lie to you and say that the resumes alone is going to get you hired. Probably won't. And so definitely, like Pablo said, contacts. And every job that I had is through referrals. And let me see if I can find my resume. I'll kind of quickly walk you through it. I know we're streaming for some time here, but before we go, we could figure it out. Where is my... I have to update my resume. I haven't updated my resume in forever. It has my old number, thank God, because then people would start calling me. So let's quickly go through my resume to kind of talk about where I use networking to get hired. And I'm doing this not to piss people off, but to highlight how important. Oh, Engine Boy, I love you. I got a job by copying Paul's resume. That is fantastic. Which I got my resume by buying a template. So listen, we all copy from somewhere. So I have my old phone number here. Great. And I don't have my recent job here, which is great. I have to update my resume, but let me share my screen quickly. So here's my resume. So from 2006 to 2015, I ran a martial arts brick and mortar school. I was a co-founder. We taught MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Then I sold insurance. Then I did marketing management, whatever. Junior web developer at Fluid Logic. I'm not going to count this because this was a failed startup my friend and I made. Wait, this one right here. A failed startup my friend and I made. We got 0 clients. We did try to build React templates and then sell them. Never got a single client, at least for me. So I'm not going to count this one, but I still put on my resume. Why not? But here's my first job that I'm not counting officially because I did very light WordPress theme customization with very modest PHP, very modest CSS and HTML. I also did some like marketing stuff for them. But this job here, Greenpoint Marketing, I knew the lady that was one of the owners. So in my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, there was this woman, Jessica, that trained with us. And one day I heard her talking about like how, like to her client, how she built a WordPress website. I was like, hey, Jess, I've also been kind of looking to transition to a new career. And I've also built a couple of WordPress sites. And I was wondering, are you looking for someone for help? So they hired me first as an intern. And then I got a contract role where I worked for them from 2019 to 2020. Which was a great experience. Again, someone I knew. Then after this, I got a job at VersaSuite, which was the most toxic company ever, which I loved because I loved watching things constantly be a shit show because it's entertaining. Not good for your stress level, but fun nevertheless. So my friend Jeff, with whom I worked here at Fluid Logic, just building templates, his wife, Stephanie, she worked at VersaSuite. So she was my referral to refer me to VersaSuite. And obviously when you go to interviews, you kind of have to still pass the interview, right? But she was my entry point to get a job at VersaSuite. Now, how did I get my job at Red Hawk Research? This is a very interesting story. So David is a friend of mine. We met at Jiu-Jitsu. When I knew David, I had no like real developer experience, and I was just starting my PHP journey. But he's like, Paul, you doing WordPress stuff. We don't need anybody in WordPress, but I'm looking for a good React developer. So I'm like, hey, David, guess what? I have a friend from here, Jeff. Jeff is an amazing React developer. So I connected David with Jeff. And Jeff worked for Red Hawk Research for 3.5 years. And in that time, I was learning React. And then Red Hawk Research grew. They had a new project. And David's like, hey, I'm looking for a React developer. And Jeff reached out to me. He's like, hey, David's looking for a React developer. I know that you're good at React, so I'm going to refer you back to David. And when Jeff referred me back to David, David's like, oh, I know Paul. Paul's awesome. Oh, he knows React? Okay, hired. So I got hired. And then I finally got hired at Strappy, YouTube. I got hired at Strappy, Coding Addict, Strappy. And how did I get hired at Strappy? So I started communicating with John Samilga, building a relationship. I made a bunch of videos with him. And so we started doing like this show on his channel. And then to my surprise, he did a show specifically on Strappy because I love Strappy. And he invited a developer advocate, Daniel, from Strappy. And so he was my connection. And literally in this episode, like somewhere around here, I'm like, hey, Daniel, if you're hiring, I'm sending my resume and I'm going to say you're my referral. And Daniel was like, okay. So again, every job opportunity I got is through referrals. And I know some people are going to be like, you're so lucky you had these gold opportunities. I'm going to say you're probably right. I am lucky. But I did have to work like really hard to build those relationships. I need to also be able to do the work that I'm applying for. And at the same time, it's like, hey, I want you to get lucky just like that as well. Build relationships. So I started a YouTube channel, not so much to be a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. This is why, like, if I don't stream for a while, my heart is not broken. I don't lose any income. I do it because clearly just for fun. And the reason why I have a YouTube channel is for self-promotion and self-marketing. A lot of people, when they search Paul Braslovsky, they search, like they see me in the wild talk about development. I met people through YouTube that I made connection with that led to other job opportunities. Like, for instance, I know web dev Cody and coding after 30. So I met Cody. His channel was called back then Web Dev Junkie, and I went on his channel and we chatted. So I'm doing my YouTube to build awareness that I'm a developer and I'm engaging with other programmers and developers. And notice how I'm engaging with developers on YouTube, not just any YouTube channel that just are YouTubers. And by having interaction with Web Dev Cody, with Cody, he actually reached out to me. He's like, hey, the company I work for, we are doing interviews. Yeah, Engine Boy, I agree with you. Want to be happy? Go with Strappy, 100%. true. But Web Dev Cody, after I became friends with him, he's like, hey, my company is hiring, you should apply. And so he gave me a referral to his company, and I was able to get the first interview. I ended up not going through with it because they were a huge Angular shop, and I didn't feel comfortable like switching to Angular, even though like I did take a course in Angular, and I was like, hey, it's not that hard. I just had no desire to continue with Angular because I felt like I still need a lot to learn about React, Next.js, and so I declined the job. But the fact is that I had my first initial interview through the reference and referral that I built with him. So the point that I'm trying to make is that if you're looking to get hired, is you need to continue to send out resumes, build relationships with recruiters, but more importantly, and number one, build relationships in general with other developers by figuring out how can you provide value. And by the way, a lot of people will say, and this is like the point that I'm going to defend right now, because some people say, you're lucky you met John Smilga. You're lucky you met Web Dev Cody. You're lucky you did this. You're lucky you did that. And I will say, if luck to you means like me doing a lot of work up front to figure out how to add value to those folks without asking anything in return, then you're right. I got extremely lucky. So here's the thing. When you're looking to build relationship and connections, you need to provide them so much value that you're always on top of their mind without asking them for a single thing in return. And then eventually they will be like, hey, Paul's always like doing these nice things for me, or like whatever. Let me like chat, see how he's doing. And that will start a conversation and be like, hey, and those opportunities will come. So you always never try to game the system by using people. You always try to figure out how can you add value to every interaction that you bring. And if you can't, don't fake it. Figure it out. But anyway, that's the thing. Again, my other soapbox. Let me just finish up with the comments here before we go. Yes. Blah, blah, blah. I don't consider anything more than one step ahead as fixed choice. You never know in life. 100%. That is a good kind of way to live. Basil says, I also got in through a referral, but there were 3 rounds of interviews. They wanted to make whether I knew something. I had already made an app. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, you are going to be, no one's going to hire you based on a referral without doing interviews. But referrals get you the interview way easier than sending your resume. So yeah, like with Shappy, I had like 7 interviews or like 6. It was like an insane amount. So you still need to prove that you're the right candidate. But if you're like, but it makes it much easier because you go to the top of the list. Which steps would you take in your learning journey to achieve a career in front-end dev? And here, I mean, courses, projects, and what did you do to digest and move on? So here, I'll share this mirror board with you. And there's that question is so loaded. It will be like a whole 12-hour course, I think, which I'm not going to make. But in a nutshell, here, I'll share this mirror again with you. Nabil, that you could take it out. But in a nutshell, the steps for me was to narrow my focus. So I decided I'm only going to focus on front-end React development. And then I identify everything I have to learn. And instead of, to prevent myself from being stuck in tutorial hell, what I eventually realized I had to do, which I didn't do from the beginning, is to, for each topic that I need to learn, find only one course and one course only. And the way you take that course is you go through the course, you cover all the material in the course, you build all the projects in the course, blah, 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 blah. But then before moving on to your next course, you build your own project based on what you learn, not using the course as a reference, but instead using external sources like Google, Stack Overflow, reading the docs. And then you do it for each one of those things. And in the process, once you get to like React and you learn React, you could start applying to jobs. But that's what I did in a nutshell. But there's a lot more nuances. But I talked in like previous videos as well, and maybe I'll do another stream based on that. Yeah, it's interesting that if you change your CV online, they're starting to call you, change once a week, and you will be in good spot. That's kind of a cool observation. I didn't know that. See, I learned so much from all of you amazing people here. I won my job via Indeed twice. Nobody knows me, but I still managed to get hired. That is awesome. Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. Use every possible resource available to you. I mean, the best jobs I got was by referrals, not on the web, and that doesn't mean that you're unqualified. Yeah, 100%. Yep. Yeah, one already looked at that. Well, meet John Smilga, and a good thing no matter what. Yeah, John Smilga has the best courses ever. I love him. Another brother from the mother. Yep, Northern Chim agreeing. Deepak, please suggest coolest technology to build blog application both for front end and back end. How about Astro? So you're already suggesting your own thing. If you like Astro, build with Astro. I heard a lot of good things about Astro, but for me, the best two technologies I would recommend for you, and again, you have a preference for Astro, so maybe you should go with Astro. Of course, I'm kidding. Like, Astro is really awesome. I've never used it though, but I heard really good things. What I would recommend, my personal thought and opinion, is I would start with Strappy for my backend because it allows you to create API literally in 2 minutes, and you could add data through this amazing admin UI thing, and then Remix. God damn it! Select Remix.js, and Remix is my favorite. I love Remix. Remix is so Strappy and Remix is my go-to. My second choice is Next.js 13 and Strappy, and then if I were to try a third thing, I would try Astro, but I haven't tried it yet, so that's my answer. And then Pablo saying Astro is great. I heard so many good things about Astro. Never tried it. Yeah, that's it. That's the secret. This is like the secret right here. What Artur said, and I'm making this jokingly because like the steps like you outline, Artur, are 100% like legit. But most people will think like, no, it's too simple. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is what I have to do. And then people won't do the work, but instead they will waste time for searching for a better answer. Just do the goddamn work. The answer is in front of you. Anybody, like, for instance, how do you lose weight? Stop goddamn eating cookies and ice cream and exercise. Everybody knows it, but nobody does it who's fat. I probably offended a bunch of people. I have a huge belly right now. You can't see it because I have this jacket, but I started losing weight. How? Not by searching how to lose weight online. I started going to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I started going to swimming. I started exercising. I created a list of foods that I should eat, which are low carb. And once in a while, I'll still have dessert. Like yesterday, I ate a whole cheesecake, but I try to do it less. So everybody knows what kind of you need to do. The issue that stops you is from being focused enough to do the work that you're required to do. So stop looking for answers of how to game the system. Just start doing the work of coding, breaking things, and learning things. I think I just offended so many people. Anyway, that happens. So to be more effective at learning, learn hard way by building. Oh my God, Jose, praise to whoever we all worship. That's the 100% fact. The turning point for me as a developer is when I stopped doing tutorials and started building my own projects and failing and learning from my own mistakes. Yeah, there's nothing with PHP and Laravel. There's plenty of jobs around. Yep. Arthur giving good advice. Amazing. Dev, we're gonna work on 2 projects. Number 1, let's build that extension for, dude, let's throw a bunch of project ideas, everybody, because I want to build something meaningful. But I use this thing called Obsidian, and Obsidian allows you to create notes. So 2 projects I had for Obsidian. Number 1, I want to create a plugin for Obsidian that uses ChatGPT to create text embeddings of your notes. So you could have a chat bot where you could ask questions about your notes. And then the second part to that, I want to allow you to store all your Obsidian notes in Strappy, wherever you decide to deploy it, or Strappy Cloud. But yes, send suggestions of what projects to build. Also, I think I'm going to start. I'm so bad with social. I have like this community that I haven't been able to get in there. And it's like I'm just paying money monthly, but I'm not really utilizing. And like, I'm so bad talking to people on social because the issue I have is like, I'm not a YouTuber. I just love talking to you. You're all my friends. I love sharing with you what I'm learning. But my goal is to continue to grow as a developer. And sometimes like I fall really bad. I'm very bad on social. I'm very bad on my community. I think like I need to start a Discord server. And if someone wants to step up and like help to like be the moderator to help me like manage that, will be amazing. I'll reopen like the Discord channel again for the community because for me, it'll be like very hard to manage. And I do spend a lot of times on Discord. If you all want to chat about Strappy, join Strappy Discord channel. Here, I'll share the link here. And I think I'll also start a channel as well. But if you want to learn more about Strappy or chat with me, Strappy related questions, at least that's what we hope. But I'm always hanging out Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. CST time on Strappy's Discord. I shared the link there. Whatever you could join. I'm also gonna probably start my own Discord again. I had issues. I just have issues general in the community. That's why I like these live streams. I feel like this is the best place for me like to communicate and catch up with everybody who's a subscriber is through these chats. But we'll keep working. Arthur, I love you, my man. Angela's amazing instructor as well, and her course is excellent. For my learning style, by the way, though, I'm just going to give you one because I have to always have counterpoint to Arthur because that's the whole point. You know, he trolls me about how awesome PHP is, and I troll him how everything could be done with React. That's the point. But my only kind of feedback about John Smigler, 100%. The thing about like use course, to your point, by the way, it's an amazing course, but I think it's too broad. And the way I learn, I found that taking broad courses is not effective for me. So I much rather learn each technology individually and then just build a project combining all those together. So instead of taking Angela's use course where she talks about everything on a surface level, I would just take individual course, let's say from John Smigler, CSS and HTML course, JavaScript course, and React course separately. But Angela Yush is an amazing instructor, by the way. Nice. That is awesome. So anyway, so we're almost pushing like 2 hours here. I had so much fun hanging out with all of you. You are all really, really amazing. And I just want to say thank you so much for being such an amazing supporters. I really appreciate all of you. To be honest, this channel would never exist without you. You're literally the bricks that build this community and hold it together. And the thing that I was going to say, I'm just very blessed and thankful to be part of your community and be able to share what I learned. And again, I know like sometimes I don't do things consistently. I do want to do better. We're switching the time. The stream is going to be every Sunday, 11 a.m. And then I'll try to do one weekly video or surprise stream where it'll be me working and building something. But again, please remember, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm trying to make it in this world of development. And so I'm not like spending full time on YouTube just because my priority is to continue to grow as a developer. And I am going to be more consistent. This stream definitely every week, 11 a.m. Sunday. This time works really good for me. So we go from there. Yeah, but very, very awesome. So thank you all. Thank you, Nabil. Thank you, Arthur, for being here. Deepak, thank you. Northern Chim, thank you. Sunny, thank you. Dev, thank you. Everybody who's here. Jose, thank you. Pablo, thank you. Everybody, you're all amazing. Engine Boy, amazing to see you. Thank you so much. And if I missed someone, thank you. Yeah, Basil, I think I mentioned Mateus, great to see you. Y'all awesome. Have a great rest of the weekend, everybody. And typically I end the stream with like some song that I made, but I didn't make anything recently. I'll have something though for next week. But love you all. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll see everybody next stream. Have a good day, good evening, good night, or good morning, wherever you are. And bye.